In the storied history of the United States of America are very few companies that have as much documented history as a little Tennessee whiskey that calls Lynchburg, Tennessee its home. That company still does business today, over 150 years later, under the name of its founder, Mr. Jack Daniel.
Jasper Jack Daniel was born to farmers of Scottish and Welsh descent. The family home was just up the road from the legendary location of the world-famous distillery. One of 10 children, Jack was the youngest. Like most rural American families, he worked on the family farm. Jack's mother died when he was very young, and a rift was caused after his father took a new bride. Jasper gave his father an ultimatum, and shortly thereafter Jack moved to a neighboring farm where he went to work for the Lutheran minister Dan Call. He was eventually placed under the guidance of Nearest Green, who made Mr. Call's whiskey. This was the beginning of a legend, as the story is told. It was Nearest that taught young Jack everything about the craft, including the method of charcoal mellowing. This is what Tennessee whiskey is known for, and is the same way Jack Daniel's is still made today. He worked under Nearest long enough to see him named a free man through emancipation. Jack had been made a partner in the whiskey operation, but when Call sold his share to Daniel, Nearest decided not to go with him. But Jack had discovered what would be one of the key ingredients for the world's most famous whiskey, the water.
Okay, so behind us right now is one of the main ingredients that makes Jack Daniel's what it is. This is for over 140 years.
Yeah, over
The
100
source of every drop
Okay.
of water that makes Jack Daniel's, and the reason why he moved to Lynchburg, Tennessee
Absolutely.
to make his whiskey.
It's completely iron-free, which
Mineral
helps
rich.
determine the color,
It's
the
crystal
flavor,
clear.
everything.
Yep. Originally incorporated in 1841, Lynchburg, Tennessee is normally a sleepy little town of about 6,400 men, women, and children. Once a year, however, that population goes up an additional 40,000 as visitors from all over the world come to the hills of Tennessee to experience their famous barbecue competition, the Jack.
Celebrating its 35th anniversary this year, the Jack will see around 85 professional barbecue teams make the pilgrimage from all over the world. A true blend of diversity with contestants from Austria, Belgium, Costa Rica, and Italy, just to name a few.
Twee chocoladen geven, dus kriegst niks. Bells, 1869, barbecue team of Switzerland.
Of course, the pros from all over the U.S. will be present, many who have made it through a rigorous process of winning regional competitions just for the chance to compete against the best in the world. The winner will receive an impressive $25,000, but more importantly, they get to say they are the best.
Look up Sweet Swine of Mine distributing on YouTube. We have a live podcast every Thursday night. I call Old School with Mark Lambert, Ashley Henson, and he's the 7-time world barbecue champion. Sweet Swine of Mine. Look for it at Ace Hardware, Lowe's, Home Depot, all that kind of good stuff. You see Sweet Swine of Mine, it's the man right here, Mark Lambert.
Oh my God. This is chicken chili rellenos dumplings. Chicken dumplings. Oh my God.
All right, guys, we're at the 2024 Jack, the best barbecue you could possibly get to. We had dinner with you guys the other night. It's the team from Rob's Barbecue in somewhere, God only knows, Washington. So you're gonna have to like
Olympia, Washington.
Shh, don't tell them. Make them Google that stuff. Dude, you're killing me. So I got over here. Your man stood up right away and said, we had some good turn-ins today. Tell these guys what that means, because motorcycle people, we don't know anything about turning in. We mean, that means you're going into a curve, you put your knee down. That ain't the same, is it?
No.
Okay.
Turn-ins is when we finish our meats and we turn it into the judges there. It's out of our hands after that. They get it. You either get on the table of death, which is, and you don't want to get on the table of death. You want to get on the AOD, angels.
This brisket he's bragging about, Chris, they put it on at 7 a.m. for a 2 o'clock turn-in. That's a 7-hour project you're putting in your mouth back there, girl. Delicious. Nice. And this is not a business for you.
Nope.
Not a business.
Not a business.
It's fun, dedication. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
It's one of our number one hobbies. Love doing it.
Barbecue is not undifferent than motorcycling or anything else. We're just designed to live in community, right?
Right.
And so if you've got the tricks or you've got the awning, why not help a brother out, right?
That's right.
And so that's
how
part
it
of the
is.
deal. And so I got that feeling from you guys when we were at the table the other night. It was super fun to listen to you guys and super fun to understand how you all were just gonna like lock arms and go into this together, okay? So if the judging goes your way, we're gonna be celebrating, okay? If it doesn't go your way, what's the takeaway from your first ever Jack?
First, phenomenal.
And for you to get the draw to come to the Jack, you had to win back home?
Had to win back home. Had to win a championship back at home.
So you got to be a grand champion, and then that's automatically gets you in the Jack, or just gets you in the raffle?
A raffle. It's in the draw. Put our names in the
I want to
hat.
hang out with you and rub shoulders a little bit. You're a lucky son of a gun.
This was his year.
Well,
He got his first GC,
Yeah.
got his first
First
RC, and
GC.
first Jack.
First Jack.
That's never happened
First
before.
on Team Royal Oak.
Let's hear it for Rob's Barbecue Team right here at the Jack, baby. Woo! Yeah.
When you started snapping at us.
It wasn't.
When you started snapping at us, he didn't forget. That a girl.
I
You
do
got to
not
crack on
snap.
him a little bit.
We got a timeline. We got to do things in order. Get the hell out of my way, and let's get this shit done right.
Yeah! All right. You heard it here from the Jack, baby. We out.
You know why Saturday is the best day traditionally to visit the barber shop?
I know. You tell me.
When I finish in this chair here today, I'm going to be ready for fun tonight and church tomorrow. So Jack Daniels obviously was a purveyor of fine whiskey, a man of his community, but above all else, he was a gentleman. So Sarah and her crew here at Barber Authority in that tradition are ready to set you up. So of course we started our part of the adventure by taking the same tour that everyone who visits Lynchburg does to learn the history of one of America's greatest brands.
We started at one of the most crucial ingredients, the charcoal mellowing. This is not only the process that gives Jack Daniel's the right to call their product Tennessee whiskey, but also gives it its unique taste. That all starts with what they call ricks. These are strips of sugar maple made exactly the same size. They are then stacked in pallets 5 feet high and doused with raw, unaged whiskey before being set ablaze. That fire will reach over 2,000 degrees before burning down into smoldering embers. The remaining charcoal pellets are then raked over until they are cool and ready to enter the mellowing tanks.
The state of Tennessee considers this the Lincoln County process, but most people call it charcoal mellowing. It's an age-old process that Mr. Jack insisted on and has been in continuous use by the Jack Daniel's distillery ever since.
The 3 ingredients that make Old No. 7 are the same today that they have always been. 80% corn, 12% barley, and 8% rye. That blend is mixed with water from the hollow, a little bit of starter yeast from a previous batch, and allowed to ferment for a full 6 days. Once ready, their patented mash is single distilled in a large copper still into unaged whiskey. When it reaches 140 proof, the clear whiskey travels drop by drop through 10-foot charcoal vats. The process takes 3 to 5 days to complete, but at the bottom, the whiskey remains clear. This is where another one of the crucial ingredients comes into play, the barrel.
Now, Jack's barrels are made with only one ingredient that actually touches the whiskey, and that's American white oak. There's no glue or nails that hold these barrels together, only the pressure of the precise arrangement of that oak.
It takes 33 individual wooden staves to make a single barrel. Once a master barrel maker assembles them, their interior is charred with fire. At this point, the barrels are filled with some 53 gallons of product and taken to a barrel house. Jack Daniel's has over 100 barrel houses around Lynchburg that are used to age their whiskey. Through natural environmental effects, the barrels expand and contract, forcing the sugars from the wood into the whiskey and producing both the flavor profile and the reddish golden color of the final product.
Now, these handcrafted barrels are used one time and one time only. After that, they're emptied and repurposed for a variety of other products, sometimes even rocking chairs. Between the charcoal mellowing and the barrel process, the cost of producing Jack Daniel's whiskey is much higher than its competitors. But at the company, they believe this is one of the reasons why Old No. 7 continues to be the #1 whiskey in the world. But what's all this have to do with motorcycles? Sure, Jack Daniel's has become synonymous with the American motorcycle culture, and you can see the familiar black and white logo at almost every major motorcycle rally across the country on tents and bar glasses and bandanas. But where's the connection to the motorcycle culture?
Well, up until 2016, in its 150-year history, Jack Daniel's had never endorsed a licensed motor vehicle, not a truck, car, or motorcycle. To celebrate the anniversary, Dave Stang came up with the idea that bottles and throttles don't mix. Enjoy your ride, then enjoy the stories after, with a cocktail on the porch or in the hotel. Enter Indian Motorcycles and Brian Klock. Dave called on Brian and the Klock Werks team to help lead the design efforts for all 3 idea generators involved. Collectively, they came up with a way for the Lynchburg-based company to celebrate the passion of their customer base with a special and limited edition Indian motorcycle. While Indian, Klock Werks, and Jack Daniels were all excited about the idea of this promotion, Indian Motorcycle Company remained skeptical. They felt the trio may only sell 40 to 50 motorcycles of the 150 produced. 8 hours after the bikes were dropped, however, they sold out completely.
So this is it, JD 150. What does that mean, JD 150? Well, it stands for Jack Daniels 150, 150 years of Jack. They invited us to build a bike to celebrate that. 40 years is like Ruby, or, and then like so many years is Diamond, and like there's all these anniversary things. You go ahead and Google 150 years, there is no color, no direction, no idea. And that's exactly what I had. I was Brian Klock, working for the #1 whiskey brand in the world, trying to be their quarterback to kick off this project. And at the same time, Indian said, you're only going to sell 40 or 50. The caveat was, when we walked out of that office, one of the engineers at that moment, Gary Gray, patted me on the back. He said, good luck. You can only use factory authorized accessories. I'm like, what? We've been in business 2 years as Polaris owning Indian Motorcycle. We had black gas caps and chrome gas caps. That was it. I mean, there was really nothing to work with. So it was going to be paint. I was going to have to try to evoke an emotion from a Jack Daniels buyer with paint. And all I could think about was, the caramel color, and yet something about birch, something about a white that's yellow just a little bit, reminds you that things are old. And how do you really go wrong with gold? Even back in the day, things had gold leaf on them, gold pinstriping, gold whatever. And everybody loves black. It's Jack Black. And so just digging into that, I was like, man, I can't do the filigree thing. I'd already done the Squire bike, and that was all filigree on the bottle, and it looked like the bottle, the whole thing. And I thought, scallops are timeless. Some people like flames. Some people hate flames. But nobody really hates scallops. It doesn't really go wrong. And so it evoked in me a sense of hot rod, a sense of classic, a sense of Jack Daniels, classic. Indian motorcycles, classic. This bike had to be classic. It couldn't look like a kitschy themed thing that you might have seen on a TV show. This had to be Jack Daniels. It had to look this cool 10 years from now. I was scared to death. And I never, working with Indian has really taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about all the work that they have to go through to make something EPA compliant, to make sure that the sun doesn't bake off that paint or the finish on this or that part. It's a lot of work. And they have to stay within a certain amount of parameters, a certain amount of time constraints, and a certain amount of costs to try to get this to the end user and to the dealer and make sure everybody makes their margin, and at the end of the day, the consumer wins. I'll never forget ordering these black turn signals and black gas caps and the black dash and the black starter button ring, all that, and not ordering the front turn signals. And they called me and they go, you can't do that. You can't do chrome on the front, black on the back. I'm like, hey, I'm the quarterback here. I'm calling the play. Come on, send me what I asked for. And really what I was trying to do, honestly, was just to take the top off this bike, just shave it down, right? And it worked. It's the first time Jack Daniels had ever licensed a motorized vehicle, and that was a super treat for me. So I did it for free. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's going to be on nobody else's resume. They're probably never going to do it again. They don't even think we're going to sell the 150 bikes anyway. But Dave Stang said we're going to sell them. If he didn't, the president was going to kiss his ass in the window of the Macy's Day Parade, is how the verbiage went. And I was like, so that's how you talk to a president? Okay. This is going to be quite a project. The bikes dropped the same day we were unveiling them to the international press in Daytona. It was out on the deck, covered in our sheet. and all the international press was there. And I walked in, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and Dave Stang turned around and he goes, "If you're a little better looking, I'd kiss you on the lips." I said, "Easy, big boy, what's going on?" He goes, "We've done it, son. We got him on the run." I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He goes, "The bikes. They went on sale this morning at 5 o'clock. And he goes, "Yeah, we've sold 100. By the time we got done unveiling them to the international press, Steve Minotto said, "So if you're looking for one of these bikes, you better hurry." He looked at his phone. He goes, "We've sold 140. There's 10 left." By the time they got done taking photos, they were gone. 150 bikes in 8 hours. Never before done in motorcycle history. It was on Reuters Finance, Yahoo Finance, all these websites. And in there was this little name, Klock Werks, in between Indian Motorcycle and Jack Daniels, you know? What a treat, right? I'm from a town of 350 people. There was 14 kids in my class. And now I'm working for one of the biggest motorcycle brands and the absolute #1 whiskey in the world.
For the next 6 years, a different and limited special offering from the trio would make its debut, all with special monikers and paint. Each one the embodiment of an individual brand from Jack Daniel's product line. Each motorcycle is treated as such a special piece of the Jack Daniel's brand that everyone comes with a special serialized gift from the company. Whether that be the custom engraved barrel lid that each of the 2016 Indian Chief vintage models came with, or the fireman's axe that was included with each of the Indian Scout bobbers. Every bike is designated as a special and collectible part of the Indian, Klock, and Jack Daniel's partnership.
Here we are, beautiful sunny day, Tennessee.
It is sunny day.
And what are we out here doing? Obviously, I'm with Brian Klock.
It's the 10th anniversary of the Indian Jack Daniel's ride. Okay, so back in 2014, we did our first ever collaboration with Indian. Right, took that bike to Bear Jackson, and out of that grew an invitation to come to Lynchburg. Not just any weekend in Lynchburg, but barbecue weekend in Lynchburg.
Which I'm finding is an amazing event.
So to put it even like 2 days before barbecue is crazy, right? It's busy down here in the Hollow. And yet it's the best time to be here. And you got to remember, all the whiskey in the world is made in a town of 660 people, okay? And so as you hear these motorcycles going by, this is the biggest year ever, the 10th anniversary. There's over 250 riders registered. This thing sells out the minute they put it up there. Within 1 week, the tickets are gone. And it's October, okay? Yeah. And a lot of times it can be wet, cold, rainy, whatever. But this year, for the 10th anniversary, the sun is shining unbelievably. It's so nice out. The colors are just changing. Some of the trees are just getting a little gold.
Hoping for them to come by, and we're going to jump in line and pretend that we were there from the start.
It's all good. Giving up all the secrets. Yeah, okay, so Red Farron played a concert last night in Lynchburg. First time they've ever had a concert in the park, behind the distillery. And it was so intimate. It was like we were right here.
Yep. So yeah, having the greatest time here, man, in Tennessee, Lynchburg specifically. All the people from Jack Daniel's just really going out of their way and rolling out the red carpet for us, but for everyone. I mean, it's an amazing place, amazing people.
Wait till you see what we're having for lunch.
Welcome to the 10th annual Indian Jack Daniel's ride. How about that?
I couldn't be happier as a small town kid to be in small town America, the home of the #1 whiskey in the world. Let's give it up for Lynchburg, Tennessee, baby.
17 years old, I went in the Navy. I was a kid. Mom lived in Jersey. I went to boot camp, and then I got stationed out in San Francisco. And, 17 years old, first time away from home, I was homesick. So every other weekend I had off when I didn't have duty, I'd hop on my motorcycle on Thursday night. I'd ride home to Jersey to see Mom for about 6 hours. And I'd ride back to San Francisco for morning muster on Monday, which would accumulate some, 170, 180,000 mile years. So this is a 21 Indian Challenger that I made into a Pursuit. I put the paint to match lowers. I do have a paint to match trunk on it. I took the trunk off. I put the Pelican box on. So that full weighs about 10 pounds more than an Indian trunk does empty. I put my Denali lights on here. Help with the dealership making the mounts through the fairing. I run an infrared camera, the Pathfinder 2 infrared. I have a front and rear dash cam. I have the XP3 Hornet deer whistle. My Arctic jugs for water. And my Thirsty Rock hydration pack. It's an insulated tank bag so I can keep my snacks in there and they don't all melt. That is my Hoka Hay rider number. Every rider gets a number. I first rode the Hoka Hay Challenge in 2020. This was my third one. I rode 22 and tied second place with my nephew. I am hoping next year to get out. It's going to be a fundraising ride for myotonic muscular dystrophy. Doing on an Indian, do 125,000 miles in 125 days on their 125th year on a 2025 Indian Pursuit. There was a record, I believe it was 45,000 miles in 45 days. A Hoka Hay rider named Chris Hopper, riding on a Harley-Davidson road glide, left out of Texas, rode 100,000 miles in 100 days, and raised over $100,000 for Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Myotonic muscular dystrophy doesn't hit until you're older, typically in your 30s and 40s. Typically men, from what I understand, but my wife's 4 sisters and all of her nieces have it. I do have a Venmo. I have a PayPal. It is going to be on Facebook. Patrick Cornell or Janice Mance Cornell will be accepting donations. We're going to have a donation page set up right through Muscular Dystrophy Association so people can make direct donations. We're going to get our QR codes and get our cards printed out, and we'll start handing them out.
The last stop on the tour before we head back to the visitor center, and we are at one of the
first barrel house, one of 98.
The first and smallest.
Yes.
So they have these all around Lynchburg, and obviously when you start to think about it, the probability of fire comes into play. So they don't want to put everything all at once. I've been drinking Jack Daniels since I was a little boy, and had no idea the kind of history behind this company, behind the families that made this the greatest whiskey in the world.
And I think my favorite story is of Nearest Green. If you don't know that story, do your homework. It's outstanding, especially considering the era that it was in.
So this is it. This is part of our trip to the Jack, but
the tasting was awesome. Just saying. So good. Totally worth it.
Now, you might expect 5-star trimmings for the rich and famous at an event as prestigious as the Jack. But this is a company that built a world-class brand. Old Number 7 is still made in a town of 6,000 people, and a good many of them work for the distillery. They remain the same good people with small-town values and incredible hospitality as they have always been. They know how to treat a friend, and if you're in Lynchburg, well, you're as good as family. We spent our time at the Jack soaking it all in, just like our own town of Mitchell, South Dakota.
It's not hard to fall in love with this place.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Destinations. In closing, we want to thank Greg Lears and everyone at Jack Daniels for helping make this episode possible.
Let's not forget the team at Indian Motorcycle Company, Klock Werks, Kevin Sanders, the Barrelman, and everyone at the Hospitality House in Lynchburg, Tennessee.
Now, this was an epic destination. But remember, sometimes it's about the journey. Other times,
it's about what you do when you get there.
We'll catch you down the road when we find our next destination.
Remember, folks, throttles and bottles don't mix. Your friends at Jack Daniels invite you to ride responsibly.
What are you doing?
Just don't tell them. Look how many they got, dude. They got plenty. Here. Quick.
You guys got it?
Yes.
She loves it.
Yeah,
Some of
Lynchburg.
they're that in.
Yeah. Gotta remember this.